Before payday as usual, my eldest son, his wife, and their daughter came to visit me at my home. After dinner, they lounged in the living room without helping clean up. As I was about to bring them coffee, I overheard a conversation between my son and his wife through the door.
Ariel, we should take this house for ourselves. Let's put Mom in some facility.
We should make her give it to us while she's still alive. We don't want her getting forgetful.
I'll find a good place for her. Dad apparently left some money, too.
Great, haha. Mother-in-law's like an ATM, huh? Take out money whenever you want.
Exactly. It's good to have rich parents.
Hearing their laughter, I felt like collapsing right there. I was crushed by a mix of humiliation and regret. After crying in the kitchen, rage surged within me. I'll never forgive them. I'll make them regret their words and actions. My name is Molly. I'm 82. I lived alone in this house full of memories with my late husband, whom I was arranged to marry. I enjoyed my solitude, attending theater by train or bus, going to department store events. I led my life at my own pace, even skimping on meals or cleaning on my weary days. But then, an issue arose. My estranged eldest son, who had been out of touch since dropping out of high school, started visiting frequently with his wife and daughter. I didn't even know he was married with a child. Yet they just showed up out of the blue saying,
"We've come to show you our grandchild."
You must be thrilled.
Leaving me utterly bewildered. His only goal seemed to be my $7 million inheritance from my father. My father was a company president who owned multiple buildings and apartments in prime locations. After complex legal proceedings, it became mine. That's when my son and his wife started cozying up to me. In retrospect, accepting their first request was probably my mistake. It only escalated from there. Still, it was hard to say no when it was for my granddaughter. They had moved to the same town and were once again at my home during dinner.
Chicken and tomato soup? What a lonely dinner.
My son, who had invited himself over and then complained, helped himself to seconds before broaching a new topic.
Mom, we want Melody to take ballet and piano lessons.
Well, why not? My 6-year-old granddaughter has been skillfully picking out the vegetables from her chicken and tomato soup and arranging them on the table. I'm taken aback. But my eldest son and daughter-in-law are ignoring it. I bite my tongue and go back to my own plate, figuring it's not my place to reprimand her if her parents won't.
It cost around $2,000 a year for the recital costumes and private lessons.
Oh, that's quite a bit.
You'll cover it, right, Grandma?
Excuse me? My daughter-in-law continues with an air of expectation.
We can't afford that. Everyone else's grandparents cover these costs.
Okay, fine. I thought, well, if that's all it is, no big deal. But it didn't stop there. Every time a family event came up, they send me a message. Give us $2,000 for a theme park overnight trip, $10,000 for a new car, and $5,000 for our grandchild's graduation trip abroad. Knowing the financial situation of my eldest son's family, I've always been generous with gifts for my grandchild, like for school enrollment and Christmas presents. Yet they still act this way. And yet, this is how they act. Meanwhile, my younger son and his wife, both busy with full-time jobs and living in the neighboring state, only manage to visit around Christmas time. Because my sons have never gotten along, my younger son carefully plans his visits to avoid running into his older brother. When they do come, his wife helps out in the kitchen, and he takes on tasks like caring for the plants in the garden or cleaning out the storage room. They've never asked for money. After my husband passed away, when I was at my lowest, they would come to chat or take me out for afternoon tea at a hotel. They always tried to lift my spirits. Feeling guilty for the apparent favoritism, I once apologized to them. They smiled warmly and reassured me.
We both work part-time and don't have children, so it's no big deal for us.
I'm more than grateful for your hospitality whenever we visit, mother-in-law. Is that so? Thank you. In stark contrast, my eldest son's wife constantly makes demands, as if it's my duty to fulfill them. If I show any hesitation, I immediately get a call from my grandchild.
Grandma, please let us make some summer memories. I'm already in middle school. A compact car is too cramped for us. The travel fund and my savings aren't enough.
It's hard to say no when pleaded with in such a sweet voice. That's how my eldest wife's son manipulates, making my grandchild call to coax money out of me, time and again. The last straw was a Sweet 16 party that cost $10,000. When I tried to decline due to the exorbitant cost, she exploded over the phone.
Don't you care about your only grandchild? You know we don't make much, right? This is a special occasion. Just give us the money without making a fuss.
If they're aware that their income is limited, why not take some initiative, like getting regular jobs or even a side gig? They both never quit their jobs. That's why they never get a raise, right? I wanted to say that, but I didn't want to turn it into a mother-in-law versus daughter-in-law showdown, so I just gave them the money. It's not that I mind spending money on my grandchild. It's the entitled attitude from my eldest son and his family that bothers me. Despite constantly asking me for things, my daughter-in-law treats me poorly. As winter was ending, I got a message over the weekend saying,
I want to go to Grandma's house.
My grandchild mentioned craving shrimp gratin. Tired but determined, I went shopping and made a special meal for the family. They walked in barely saying hello, made themselves at home on the living room couch, and started using their phones or watching TV.
Could you bring us some snacks?
Sure, I'll bring some cookies. I questioned why the daughter-in-law couldn't make coffee for her own family, but told myself they were guests and prepared the coffee. This has been the pattern since the grandchild was small. They show up right before payday, eat dinner, take a bath, enjoy some beer or juice and snacks, and leave without cleaning up. They don't help with dishes or say thank you. He doesn't even ask. He just takes loads of stuff every time, from daily necessities to groceries. You'd think he could just ask me, but no, he takes things without saying a word. I've just been letting it go, thinking that protesting would be pointless. But having to repurchase everything from groceries to daily necessities is both cumbersome and a real hassle. Dinner's ready. Would you like to eat in the living room? I called out, but no one looked up from their phones.
You're slow. Just bring it already.
Even though I'm inwardly annoyed by my eldest son's domineering attitude, I bring meals for 3 people into the living room. Just as I'm about to head back to the kitchen, my eldest son's wife calls out to me.
Your voice sounds strange, mother-in-law. Do you have a cold?
Yes, my throat's a bit sore, and I'm feeling sluggish.
Don't get us sick, okay?
My daughter-in-law said, making a face as she started to eat. I was foolish to expect a kind word. And after dinner, they all just sat there, each engrossed in their phones. Not a word of thanks, not a hint of wanting to help clean up. I was surprised at how disappointed I felt. I had still been hoping for something better from my son and his wife. I shuttled between the kitchen and the living room, separated by a sliding door, to put away the dishes for 3 people in the sink. I wash the dishes and make fresh tea for 4. I place my own glass on the dining table and carry the rest to the living room. Just as I'm about to open the sliding door, I hear my eldest son's wife speaking in a displeased tone.
So how much longer is mother-in-law staying in this house?
What do you mean?
This place has an old house, but the land is huge, and it's in a great location. I'd love to live here, Mom. Our current apartment is way too small. Ew, no way I'm living with an old person.
Look, Ariel, why don't we take the house and put Mom in some facility?
That works, but only after we make her gift us the house legally. It'll be a problem if she becomes senile.
That's so mean, Mom.
Well, she might agree if you ask her, Melody. And if she chooses the facility now, she can pick one she likes. So I'll go find a good senior living facility for you. Can't miss out on Grandpa's $700 million inheritance.
Thank you, huh? Having mother-in-law is like having an ATM. Withdraw cash whenever you want, huh?
You got it. It's a lifesaver having rich parents.
I felt like collapsing right there as the 3 of them laughed. I wobbled over to the dining table and set down my glass and slumped into a chair. I have to say, I'm pretty spry for 82. My mental age feels like it's in the 50s, and my daily routine involves walking. I shop using public transportation or my bike, and I handle daily chores alone. I was considering making my home more accessible, but who knew my eldest son and his family would plan to take over the house? Soon enough, a sliding door opened, and an angry voice boomed.
Mother-in-law, where's my tea?
I'm not feeling well. Get it yourself.
Ugh, this is why I can't stand old people. Can't you be hospitable to your guests?
Rolling her eyes and mumbling just loud enough for me to hear, my daughter-in-law left with my son and granddaughter, leaving the living room a mess. Alone again. I felt a wave of exhaustion wash over me. I always feel worn out after they visit, but this time was especially draining. Tears flooded my eyes as I remembered their heartless words and actions. How could they think that way? Where did I go wrong raising my eldest son? My chest ached with shame and regret. After shedding some tears, a wave of anger surged within me. I clenched my fists. I won't let them get away with this. They'll regret their actions. Just you wait. A month later, a memorial service was held at the church, marking 10 years since my husband passed away. Afterwards, as relatives dispersed in the parking lot, I told my eldest son and second son and their wives, "I'm remodeling the house." My daughter-in-law then piped up.
Remodeling at your age?
"Yes, I want my son to inherit this home filled with memories of his father. I need to start the gifting process."
Really? Now?
Standing next to her beaming parents, my granddaughter chimes in with a cozy smile.
Grandma, we are thinking about moving into a single-family home soon. Our apartment feels cramped with 3 of us.
Even though she's already 20, she still uses a sugary tone when she's asking for something from me. "Is that so?" My eldest son and his wife exchanged glances, nodding as if they'd just confirmed something.
By the way, mother-in-law, how's your health? You're bedridden with a cold, right?
Thankful for my daughter-in-law's concern, I managed to smile. "I'm better now, thank you. My recovery was slower than I'd like."
Oh, no, you keep us updated. You want pity because you're living alone at your age, right?
The expression on my younger son's face changes as his older brother's wife smirks and lets her words fly.
"Excuse me, sister-in-law?"
Ignoring her brother-in-law's attempt to stop her, she hops into the car, rolls down the passenger side window, and shouts with a laugh, "Grandma's our piggy bank. From now on, just contact us for major life events, okay? And let us know once you've sorted out the living trust." Standing beside my shocked younger son and his wife, I give in and respond, "All right, understood." Afterwards, while calming down my angered younger son and his wife, they drove me home. For a while, I didn't hear from my older son's family. I began renovating my house as declared and proceeded with various preparations. Then I invited my younger son and his wife over to talk. And surprisingly, my older son's family showed up uninvited.
"Sorry, Mom. I casually mentioned to my brother that you had finished the home renovations, and they insisted on coming."
I shrugged my shoulders at my apologetic younger son. "It's fine. Let's also talk about the living trust while we're at it." My older son's family, particularly his wife, were inexplicably in high spirits.
"You have to let us know right away, mother-in-law. It's our house after all."
She forcefully pats my back and shoves past me to take a look around. They surveyed the newly styled kitchen and dining area and looked delighted at the spacious living room. The wife gestured and complimented.
"The other room still looks outdated, but this living room is amazing, mother-in-law. You actually have good taste.
This Nordic interior suits us, right, Melody?"
"Yeah, let's replace this old sofa with a branded one and some houseplants." "Oh, my room's upstairs, right?"
As my granddaughter started to head upstairs, I stopped her. "Melody, it's rude to wander around someone else's house. You're an adult. You should know that." Taken aback by my uncharacteristically stern tone, she turns and freezes. My older son's wife immediately snaps.
"What's the big deal, mother-in-law? This will be our house soon."
"Who said I was giving this house to you?"
"What? But Mom."
Their faces crumpled in confusion. This house will go to my younger son and his wife. Upon hearing this, the younger couple who were sitting on the sofa looked visibly stunned. After a pause, my older son and his family close in to protest.
What? That's absurd.
The eldest son should get the parents' inheritance.
The law divides inheritance equally among siblings. Remember, I also received half of your father's inheritance, and you both shared the other half.
Do we? We've long spent it, so I don't remember.
Exactly. That's why I'm giving all the land that I inherited from your father to your younger brother. In that moment, the eldest son's wife showed a devilish expression.
You're giving him all the $700 million worth of assets? That's insane.
It's only right that the eldest son should inherit everything.
No, it should be split equally among the siblings, I said coldly, cutting off the eldest couple's rant. Do you really think you get anything after constantly disregarding me? You both are audacious. The couple stood there, mouths agape, pale as ghosts. Clearly, they thought they'd get it all. As for the younger son and his wife, their eyes were wide in surprise.
Mom, are you sure it's all right for me to inherit everything, including the house and the land?
Yes, Mom-in-law, it's kind of overwhelming, honestly. The younger son's wife finally chimed in. Living in an apartment as we do, a house with a garden, feels like a dream. Is it okay if we move in?
I mean, we're glad to help around the house, but won't it disrupt your peace?
Don't worry, I'll be in an assisted living facility. Molly and others seem to have researched it, but I can find my own place, no worries. I took the opportunity to throw a barb at the meddlesome eldest couple. By the way, the renovation reflects your sister-in-law Tamika's taste, which luckily aligns with mine. Wow, it really is a comfortable space. You're giving it to us? I smiled warmly at my younger son and daughter-in-law, who were marveling at the interior. Some of the older rooms, like his study, are still there. Is that all right?
Absolutely, Mom. It's great that places we played in as kids are still here.
Well, take good care of this sofa. It's a vintage piece you bought when you were newlyweds. The warm smiles on their faces warmed my heart, too. This house is filled with memories from our early marriage. I'd be happy if you cherish it. I'll leave the land management to Jesse and Tamika as well. But right next to us, the eldest son's wife screamed.
Ah! You've got to be kidding! I won't stand for this!
She glared at us, me, my younger son, and his wife.
How could you possibly decide to give it all to them and not us? You dangled the idea of a living will, so I thought we'd inherit a lot.
She began to yap like an unruly puppy.
We even showed you our grandkids' faces from time to time, including a welfare check on you. What a waste of time and gas.
The audacity of my eldest son's wife's gesture made even someone as patient as me lose my temper. I slapped her hand away, and she blinked in surprise, staring at me. Nobody asked you to come, so mind your own business. I stared her down, raising my voice. You show up before payday and make me cook dinner. You don't lift a finger, don't say thank you, and you even sneak out a ton of my groceries and household supplies. The nerve of you! My younger son and his wife looked at the eldest son's couple incredulous. You were planning to ship me off to a facility after remodeling the house, weren't you? You've been siphoning money from me for years, using the grandkids as an excuse. Have some shame. She was probably shocked because it was the first time she'd seen me raise my voice. Everyone in the room held their breath, all eyes on me. Even I have the right to choose who gets my assets. There's no way I'm leaving anything to my irresponsible eldest son and his wife. Then my daughter-in-law lifted her head. Her expression had shifted from defiant to desperate. But we're in trouble. We maxed out our credit cards relying on that $7 million in the living trust from you.
And I bought a new car. What are we going to do?
If you were relying on your parents' money, that's your own fault.
So you want us to go bankrupt?
She clawed at her hair and started to yell hysterically.
You're Hollis's mom, right? We're family. We're in trouble, so you should give us money. Fulfill your duty as an ATM.
Mom, just stop it. While my grandchild stepped in between my eldest son's wife and me, I quickly pulled out my phone and got to work. I sent an image to a group chat that included the 5 of us who were present. As everyone's phones buzzed in unison, everyone but me checked their screens and simultaneously exclaimed,
What? Ariel?
What? Why did this get sent to me? Is this for real?
Oh my God!
It's no wonder they were shocked. The video showed my daughter-in-law acting in an unthinkable manner. I played the video on my phone for everyone to see.
Starting next month, I'll be the store manager, so let's let loose a little.
There she was, my eldest son's wife, gleefully standing at the cash register of my own workplace in her uniform. She chugged down a can of beer in one go. Then she began greedily devouring the snacks, sandwiches, and deli items laid out on the counter.
It's fine, I'll pay for it. It's just $25.
With a smile, she blurted something into her mobile phone, and the video came to an end. Faced with cold stares from the family, my eldest son's wife offered an awkward excuse, forcing a smile.
It's okay. I was really hungry, and I paid for it.
You're kidding, right? Eating and drinking is prohibited in the store, especially during work hours.
My son was not amused.
It's okay. I only sent it to my partner. But what if he leaks it online?
I shook my head in disbelief. I felt sorry for my son and granddaughter, who were searching the internet with solemn faces. Don't worry. The original video has already been deleted.
Really? How do you know?
A friend of Ariel's, who's also a friend of mine, showed it to me. Remember the barbecue we had when Melody was little?
Oh, yeah.
I showed the video to the store manager when I visited. He deleted it right in front of me, saying it was a lesson for Ariel.
And then?
I'm sure you can guess what happened next.
Can you believe this old hag?
The oldest son's wife lunged at me in fury, only to be quickly pulled away by the second son, smoothing out the wrinkles on my collar. I spoke to her with icy detachment. You're almost 60, aren't you? Can't you tell right from wrong? You don't even think about how you're affecting the family. I'm truly disappointed.
But what are we going to do now? I was supposed to get a pay raise and bonuses as a manager. And we'd be able to buy all the designer stuff we wanted. You've ruined everything.
She cried and muttered, to which I replied, Why not take your complaints to the manager and apologize, though I doubt you'll be forgiven.
Darn you, you'll regret this.
Fuming, she left the house in a huff. The remaining eldest son clung to me, his face pale, his eyes filled with tears.
What should I do? We won't be able to pay our condo rent anymore. Mom, I apologize for the awful things I've said. Please help me out.
I have no money to give you. This conversation is over. Go home.
Dad, let's give it up.
Though his daughter tried to pull him away, he remained as rooted to the floor as if he had grown roots. This time, he turned to his younger brother, desperation in his voice.
Hey, Jesse, even if it's just 1/3, could you share some of Grandpa's land with me? No way. You ignored Mom, and now you dare ask?
Shaking off his brother's grip, the eldest son collapsed onto the floor, his voice weak.
This is bad. I'm heading for bankruptcy.
Come on, Dad. Let's go home. Stop making a scene.
Prompted by his daughter, my eldest son left with his shoulders slumped. In that moment, she seemed to have aged significantly. Though my eldest son's wife eventually apologized, it was too late. The opportunity for her to become the store manager was rescinded, and she was forced to resign immediately. According to my eldest son, she had been racking up debt, buying designer clothes and bags on credit cards. To pay off her debts, she not only worked daytime shifts but also took on extra work at night, essentially working around the clock. My eldest son, who had taken out a car loan, assuming he would receive financial help from me, sadly had to sell the car. Even then, they couldn't catch up on repaying her debts and eventually couldn't afford their apartment rent, moving to a rundown apartment instead. My granddaughter, who was the only one leading a decent life, working in retail, ended up having a big fight with her parents over taking on their debts and moved to a different apartment. She had once ridiculed me along with her parents, but she had lost all patience with her mother's excessive shopping and her disturbing workplace behavior. She even blocked calls from both parents when her father, my eldest son, started asking her for money. My eldest son admitted that he has no idea where she is or what she's doing now. There's tension between the couple, and although divorce has been discussed, They've opted for an in-house separation due to the cost of living apart in their cramped apartment. It's a pitiful situation, and it filled me with sympathy. Having transferred my house to my younger son and his wife and completed the gifting process for the land inherited from my father, I moved into an independent living facility for seniors that I had previously applied to. Here, I'm living a relaxed life, growing flowers and watching movies on my computer. I sometimes go shopping with friends I've made here, or have coffee and chats with my younger son and his wife who come to visit. I blocked contact with my eldest son and his wife after their messages begging for money became overwhelming. Now I have no more worries about being exploited as their unpaid housekeeper, or them siphoning off my money. I plan to spend the rest of my life peacefully, watching over my kind-hearted younger son and his wife.